fasting like a girl. Like what results have you seen? What have you noticed? That would be really fun for me, at least. So, okay. YouTube, Facebook, Resetter Collaborative. I hope that I am connected to you all now. Today is December 27th, and a year ago, my book came out. This was a big day for us a year ago, and I want to start off by just thanking you all, because never in my wildest dreams did I think the world would take these principles and just run with them. I knew this information needed to get out there. I was really troubled by watching all these one size fits all fasting plans come out. I got incredibly troubled by the media that said women shouldn't fast, because what I was seeing in my clinic, what we were teaching on YouTube, was exactly the opposite. We were showing that women were actually finally losing weight. They were finally balancing hormones when they learned how to create a rhythm with not just their food, but their fasting styles. So it has been pure joy for me to watch you all apply these principles and get incredible results. So if you're just joining me, just put in the comments, if you've been fasting like a girl, what have you noticed? What's the biggest takeaway that you had? Because that's crazy exciting for me. So what I want to do is always give you value. So I've not only come to celebrate my book's birthday, I feel like it's like one of my kids, right? It's like I put a lot of time and effort and nurturing into this book, and then you send it out into the world and you cross your fingers that it all works out okay. And I just want to thank you for all of you that have shared this, those of you that have done book studies with it, those of you who are applying it and getting results, just incredible. I knew that this would work, and to watch you all apply it and then see that the number of reviews that we have on Amazon is crazy. And the results people are getting in weight loss, unbelievable. So I want to share with you what I've noticed looking at the reviews, what I've noticed in just so many podcast conversations, what I've noticed in just people applying the principles, and what have I gleaned from now looking at, we've had, just to kind of update you, we've had over 500,000 books sold in 1 year worldwide. And that's across that's hard copy, Audible, ebook. 500,000 of you have engaged in this. And it's just been incredible to see. So let me give you some value. Here are the 3 big things that I am seeing. So the first, what you all noticed, and I'm so happy that you saw this, is so many of you were excited to learn how to fast, because many of you were struggling with fasting. You either weren't getting the results you wanted, or it was really difficult to do. And then once you learned how to apply fasting to your hormones, it became really, really easy. And you started getting results where you never thought you could get results before. And from that, what you learned was about your hormones. Like, one of my favorite things is when I see a comment either on a review, or those of you that message me or tag me in socials, is that you not only got a result, but you understood your hormones for the first time. That is amazing. And it's also really sad that it took till 2023 for us as women to start to understand that we have a rhythm that our lifestyle needs to match. So I would first off say that one of the things that I really tried to emphasize in the book is estrogen and progesterone have 2 massively different lifestyle needs. Estrogen does really well when you fast. So my postmenopausal women, I just want you to know, I hear you. I am you. I've just seen so many comments like, what about postmenopausal women? Well, I can tell you that you also have to still mind estrogen and progesterone. You just have to do it in a different way, because you don't have a cycle to mind it to. Estrogen, the system of estrogen gets really off when you go through your perimenopause and menopause years. You lose estrogen and you become more insulin resistant. So when you applied fasting and started dipping, especially into some of the longer fasts, what I saw from the perimenopause and postmenopausal women is they were finally losing weight, which was amazing. So keep in mind that there is a lifestyle that the whole estrogen system needs. And keeping glucose low, keeping insulin low, keep it once you tap into that, you clean that system up. Now, the beautiful thing about estrogen, she seems to do okay when we go into the longer fasts, which actually leads me to my second point, which is postmenopausal women. What I noticed from this book coming out are doing really well with the longer fasts. So the longer a postmenopausal woman fasts, the more she's dropping that menopausal belly weight, that weight that just stuck on her during the menopausal years. So if you're in those postmenopausal years and you're frustrated, especially with weight, I want you to think about the longer fasts, going into the 36-hour fast, going into 48, and even into the 3-day, which I'll talk about in a second, because it cleans up. It balances that estrogen system back out. And the estrogen system gets really off course as we go through perimenopause and menopausal years. Progesterone is completely the other way. Progesterone, it wants us to have glucose higher, which is why we have more carb cravings. It's why it's harder to fast during that time. And progesterone doesn't want a lot of cortisol. One of the other huge ahas I've had from just this book coming out into the world is how many 20 and 30-year-olds don't have a cycle anymore. And that's incredibly concerning. It should be concerning to all of us. Because as I mentioned on Lewis Howes's podcast, our menstrual cycle is how we detox. It's a way of shedding and getting what no longer serves us out of us. Specifically, I recently did a bunch of research on what toxins they're finding in menstrual blood. And one of the toxins that they're discovering in menstrual blood are forever chemicals. Okay, forever chemicals are on everything. They're on fabrics, they're in our meats, they're in our water. And so when we actually bleed, what happens is we're releasing all of those toxic chemicals that build up in our body and trigger genes and create chronic disease and really amplify many of the symptoms that are apparent in menopause. So for the 20 and 30-year-olds to not have a cycle, that's a massive problem. So one of the things I saw was that as the 20 and 30-year-olds started to do this high carb, low carb, long fast, short fast, and started to kind of metabolically switch according to their hormones, their cycle came back. The number of people on my Amazon reviews that have commented on that they were finally able to get pregnant because we needed to have a conversation as women that these two hormones really needed an ebb and flow. We needed to treat them differently with our lifestyle. And then with my postmenopausal women, we needed to have a conversation that there was a lifestyle change that needed to happen at 40. I wrote about it in the Menopause Reset. We needed to start to think about varying fasts. We needed to think about varying food. We need to pay attention to our microbiome and our toxic load and our rushing woman. So I feel like you all saw that and you applied it. And then you started asking questions like, what about working out? And what about my social calendar? And what about one of the greatest conversations I had this year was with Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO, where he and I just went down a path of like exploring what it would look like for women to cycle their work schedule according to their hormones. And that was fascinating. If you haven't seen that one, go listen to that podcast. So my general takeaway is that when we're looking at hormonal challenges, whether you're postmenopausal or you're in your 30s trying to get pregnant, it's this ebb and flow, this rhythm that we needed to bring into the conversation and we needed to create. And that rhythm could look like short fast, long fast. That rhythm could look like low carb, high carb, or that rhythm could look like head down, doing a ton of work and then resting. But when we're doing the same diet, the same way over and over and over again, eventually we get stuck. And that is why Fast Like a Girl has been working for so many people. Now, the hard part, the trick, unfortunately, is that you're going to have to apply it to you. So I want to bring up one other major point that I saw so many of you grab, and I want you to apply this to everything in your health. When you're on social media and you're listening to somebody say, do it this way, don't do it that way, or take this supplement or take this medication and all your problems, or your weight problems, are going to go away. I feel strongly that for the woman's body, there are no absolutes. We actually, one of the beauties of being in a woman's body is we get the best of all the worlds. So we get to go high carb, progesterone loves it, and we get to go low carb, estrogen thrives there. And we can play all out in our work life or all out in our workouts. And then we've got to recover. And as long as we're keeping these two hormones in mind all the time, then we can never go astray when it comes hormonally. This is why I called it the power phase and the nurture phase. In the power phases, you can power up on all of your favorite health hacks, your favorite diets, your favorite fasts, your favorite workouts. Estrogen's right there with you. She loves that. But then when we're looking at progesterone, we really need to make sure that we are going into more of a nurture phase. And I think this is one of the things that has been the hardest for women in this day and age, and why I really resonate with this idea that we are at an evolutionary mismatch right now. Because in this modern world, so many women are trying to push harder, to do more, to accomplish more. And in that, we are seeing so many hormonal struggles. So we have to remember rest and recovery has to be a pivotal part of our health experience. And I feel like so many of you got that from reading the book. So when I say metabolic switching, you can do a lot of interesting ways of switching. I was just at a friend's house yesterday, and we were talking about, they had in their backyard, they had a sauna and a cold plunge. And they were sharing that her husband was seeing some really impressive cholesterol changes because of 4 days a week. He was going in a sauna and then following that with a cold plunge. And we were like talking about why that worked. Well, it was the opening and the closing of blood vessels that started to clean up the cholesterol that was on the side walls of his arteries. And so he started to see a decrease in cholesterol. Well, that's a form of switching. That's going into dilation and contraction. Once you get that we're not supposed to do everything the same every single time. We're supposed to vary. We're supposed to go to different extremes. And you see that the body really responds well with that, especially the female body. Then it gets really fun because you can do everything. You can have your cake and eat it too. So understand that it's not the fasting that's making you lose weight. What the fasting is doing is it's putting you in a hormetic stress state. A hormetic stress is a small amount of stress that forces your body to repair. And then you go back into food. And if you clean up your food system and the way you're eating, now you're nourishing your body and you're giving your body the nutrients it needs. So there's a lot of conversation right now about protein. Amazing. Go for it. If you thrive with a lot of protein, great. That fits in the sugar burner system, and that stimulates something called mTOR, which is great for growth. But you're not meant to stimulate mTOR all day long. So make sure you're pairing that with a different fat length fast so you can go into this state of autophagy so that you can start to repair the inner workings of the cell. You can get rid of any excess by burning fat and getting ketones. So it's like night and day. It's like fall and spring. Everything in nature, including us, has to have this rhythm. So if those of you got really excited about fasting and what is happening to you when you're fast, I don't want you to forget the food system and how to clean that up. In fact, I'll share with you something really cool. We're on my YouTube channel. We're going to do a ton of me in the kitchen, showing you what I eat, talking about foods that will make you a better sugar burner, foods that will match really well with fasting. So I've got a whole bunch of videos lined up for you on YouTube to dive into food, because what I saw is that so many of you were struggling with the sugar burner system. You went into fasting, all of a sudden your body started really doing well with releasing weight and cleaning its metabolic system up. But then there's still a little bit of question about what do we do with the sugar burner system. So I'm going to answer that this year. I'm going to dive really deep into that. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, because I'm going to come at food from every angle possible. This also means those of you that are going to go into some kind of diet in January. Here's what I want to tell you. All diets, most diets, let's say, because I guess if it was a processed food diet, I'm not a fan of that. But most diets are going to get you some result. Many times it's a temporary result. And it's a temporary result because all you're doing is working from one energy system. That's all you're doing. You're just working from the sugar burner system. But when you take this diet that maybe you love, and I'm not here to tell you which diet to go on to, but I will give you some good ideas in this coming year, in 2024, of what diets I see work best with hormones. But if you have a diet that's working for you, or a diet you're gonna go into in the new year, what I'm going to encourage you to do is make sure you pair that diet with the 6 different length fasts. Vegans can thrive. Carnivores animal lovers can thrive. People who count calories can temporarily thrive, even though I'm not a fan of it, but temporarily it can work. But where all of those fall apart long term is when we don't match it with the fat burning system and match it with a fast. And so you get to choose which one and which length fast works the best for you. So I want to really get you to start thinking for yourself, and not giving your power away to a diet. Don't give your power away to anybody on social media. Don't give your power away to me. Don't give your power away to a doctor. Become curious about your own body and what metabolic switching works. How does that work for you? Some of you might really do well with a plant-based diet. And when you pair that with 17 hours of fasting, you just see a whole new version of yourself. Others of you are like all in on this protein idea, and you're trying to get 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. And when you match that with a 15-hour fast, you do really well. Both of those can exist. This is the thing where we fell apart in nutrition, is we stopped understanding that there's a rhythm to this, especially when you live in a female body. And all of these things can be amazing. And our job is to figure out how this works for us individually. So that's such a huge part of this year. After watching so many people apply the principles, the people that got stuck with the principles were trying too hard to make just the fat burning system work for them. They just wanted to fast, and they didn't want to clean up their sugar burner system. And some people really didn't like fasting very much, so they dipped into like the 15-hour fast, but then they all of a sudden went back into food and they got lost. So the key to long-lasting metabolic health, which means your blood pressure is down, your cholesterol is down, your hemoglobin A1C is under 5. The key is learning to metabolically switch. So even though Fast Like a Girl was a book about fasting, it really was a book about how do you master this switch and how do you do that in accordance with your hormones. And if you keep staying curious about that, you will discover that pretty soon you're living in a body that you flip and love. And that to me is the most important part of all of this. I don't really care what the number on the scale says. What I want is that when you look in the mirror, you like what's looking back at you. When you go to try on clothes, you feel good in your skin and putting clothes on. That should be the goal, is there, of health. And yes, I'd like to see the metabolic markers be good as well. But it starts with understanding your metabolic switch. Now, the last thing I want to tell you on this that I think is really, really important, and something that I've really learned from watching the reviews on Amazon, is that the longer fasts really work well for two types of people. The longer fasts work incredibly well for those of you that dip into a 15, 17-hour, 24-hour fast and you don't get the result you want. If you practice the principles of Fast Like a Girl and you didn't get as deep of a result as you want, I really want to encourage you to do a 3-day water fast. And I'll talk about how you do that here in a moment. And if that sounds daunting and you're like, no, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. The other group of people that it worked incredibly longer fast work incredibly well for are my postmenopausal friends. So women that no longer have a cycle, whose metabolic system got really messed up as estradiol started to go away. And we're left, so many of you were left with hot flashes, menopausal belly weight, and symptoms of menopause, even though you were years and years after going into menopause. This is where we need to pull out this 3-day water fast. That is the key. I will also throw out that I love a 3-day water fast as a tool for prevention, because what happens of all chronic disease, what happens in those 3-day water fasts is your body repairs itself. It gets rid of the weak links. It gets rid of the cells that no longer serve you. And it's one of the shortest ways that I know to get you insulin sensitive again. 3 days. I have seen miracles happen. And I have seen when people go into this 3-day process, now the shorter fasts work for them. Now they don't gain weight when they're eating food. So sometimes we just got to put our head down and do something big like the 3-day water fast. So with that in mind, what I'm going to be doing is the first full week of January 9th through the 12th. So we're actually doing, it's the fasting days are the 9th, 10th, and 11th. I'm doing an intro call on the 8th, and I'm doing a call on the 12th to talk about what you do after a 3-day water fast. But as a community, alongside my publisher, Hay House, we are gathering people, and I am personally guiding you through a 3-day water fast. We did this last year when the book came out. We had like 9,000 people who all fasted together, and put in the comments if you joined for that. It was all in celebration of Fast Like a Girl coming out into the world. We just gathered everybody that wanted a 3-day water fast, and we did it together. And there is something magical about energetically doing it together with people all over the world. We had 9,000 people last year doing it together. We did it again in September with Hay House. We had 50,000 people fasting together in September, and we're now doing it. The fast will be January 9th through the 11th, and we're doing it with 100,000 people. And on the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I am showing up and doing a call for you on each one of those days so that I can support you through this. This is the closest thing I can do to personally coaching you through a 3-day water fast. We have done this with millions of people over the last 10 years, and like I said, the transformation that happens from a 3-day water fast is mind-blowing. So if you want to join me, my team's going to put a link there. It's free. If you want to upgrade to the VIP, there's bonuses and things you get to that. That's the ball's in your court on that one. But we are gathering 100,000 people, and I am personally leading you through this 3-day process. If there was ever a time to do a 3-day water fast, this would be it. Now, if you are scared, you're like, oh, that sounds really great, but I'm not sure I can do it. Let me give you some thoughts between now and January 8th. And my team, by the way, is putting the link in. You can, if you're on Instagram, you can go to my profile and find the link. You can go to Hay House's page and find the link. If you're watching me on Facebook and YouTube, my team is putting the link in right now to sign up for the fast. Here's what I want you to do before the fast. So we're in this week right before the new year. So depending on how motivated you are, I really like starting to make changes in my health habits before the first. And I've talked about this before, like the first is the worst time to change your health habits, on the first, because everybody wants to do it on the first, and you've done it for many years on the first and you failed at it. Or I mean, I've failed at it. So I no longer, my memory, my neurons in my brain have a memory that whatever I start on the first doesn't actually come to completion. So that's why we're not doing the fast on the first. We're doing it on the 9th will be the first one. So we want to kind of get out of that initial place of failure that so many of us lived at. So between now and that first full week of January, there are 2 things you can do. First is you can clean up your sugar burner system. So you don't have to count macros. Just do something as simple as eat nature's carbs. That is your fruits, your vegetables, your potatoes, even some of your rices, your quinoa, your beans. Just eat nature's carbs. You don't have to count macros. You're just going to get off of the breads, the pastas, the sugars between now and the time of the fast. The second thing you can do to clean up the sugar burner system is you can start to trade out your oils. So just be aware, like get rid of the canola, the cottonseed, the corn oils. Let's get the soybean, the vegetable. Those are the ones you're going to see most of the time when you eat out. Let's just get rid of those between now and the beginning of the fast. And then if you want to go one step further, you could add protein in, because protein and even add more good fat in will stabilize your blood sugar. So it stops doing this all the time where it's going up and down and up and down. So just do that between now and January 8th when we have the first call. The second thing you can do is let's start to prime the fat burning system. Now, knowing that we all have different length fasts we've been doing, what I'm going to ask you to do is between now and the 3-day water fast, that whatever the longest fast you've done, I'm going to ask that you add 2 hours to that. So if the longest fast you've ever done is 17 hours, I would like you to go 19 hours between now and the 3-day water fast. We just want to push your body a little bit so it starts to understand this fat burning system. That's it. That's all you need, is just do that between now and the time of the 3-day water fast. If you do that, you're ready. You're ready. Like, that's it. That's all you need, because what I'm going to be teaching you in this 3-day water fast is how to prime the fat burning system, how to get this system in really tip-top shape. So those are the prerequisites. Now that whole week, I'll be discussing the fat burner system and how do we make this system work for you, not against you, and how do we make fasting effortless for you. That was another big aha that I saw, is that so many of you, once you practiced metabolic switching, the fast became easier and easier and easier. And I will continue to say this over and over and over again, that I don't know about you, but every diet I ever went on, it got boring. It stopped working. I couldn't keep the discipline, and I'm a really disciplined human, and it just fails in the long term. but a fasting lifestyle doesn't fail. It doesn't fail. That's why you're getting results and you're keeping the results. Is that once you learn to metabolically switch and you get this in order, it all works for you. And I want to say one thing on that. Once you start to master this metabolic switch and you get the results, only you get the credit for it. Please, please, please don't give the power away. When you're getting results, you did it. I just gave you the information, but you're the one that stepped into it and made it happen for you. So you should be proud. You should feel like empowered and like you actually discovered how your feminine body wanted to work. So to sum everything up, depending on when you join, Fast Like a Girl's birthday, it's today. And in 1 year, with all of your enthusiasm and all of you stepping into this and making it work for you, we've sold 500,000 copies on all the types of copies, from Audible to ebook to hard copy, in 1 year across the world. It's unbelievable. And I'm in deep gratitude for those of you that have bought it, shared it, applied it. Amazing. So I'm celebrating my book's birthday today. I'm very proud of her. And let's keep this conversation going. So we're going to do a 3-day water fast, the first full week in January. The water fast itself will be January 9th through the 11th. There will be a pre-call on the 8th and an exit call on the 12th. I will be coming to you live on every single one of those days. So now is the time to do a 3-day water fast with us and really get this fat burning system going. And we didn't stop there. We have several things lined up in the first quarter of the year. We will be doing a fat burning reset a week after that 3-day water fast in my academy. So stay tuned for that. My academy members, if you're on the line, there's thousands of you. So put in the notes or in the comments if you're an academy member. But we'll be doing a 15-day experience towards the end of January. And then towards the end of March, I'm doing my first live event. It's an all-day event. It's a Fast Like a Girl experience where I'm going to personally, in person, walk you through how to create a health plan for you that works this year, how to master your hormones, how to master metabolic switching. You'll be able to ask me questions live. So that will be at the pre-conference that's attached to the I Can Do It live event that Hay House is putting on. So we'll leave links for that as well. So my thought here, stick with me, is that so many of you are taking the principles and succeeding at them. Let's not stop. One of my favorite quotes that I applied to my own life is nothing fails like success. So one of the most dangerous places you can get to is once you get a result, what do? Because it's easy to fall backwards. So I have set this up this year so that you do not fail, that you continue to succeed at that. And then the last thing I'll tell you is we also have a journal, Fast Like a Girl journal, coming out in April that I had the honor of putting together with one of my favorite authors and a huge journal enthusiast, Alex L. If you haven't followed her, go follow her. Alex and I came together and worked on a journal that you can use when you're fasting to really repattern the way that your relationship with food is. So that will be coming out in April. So I got you. If you are frustrated with your health, if you're confused on where to go, I have set up the first 4 months of this year to just really support you. But it starts with this 3-day water fast. And I can't wait to have that experience with you. So my book's birthday, my baby's 1 today. And I just am so grateful to you all. I really am. This is a journey that we're doing together. I really believe that, when we look at feminine energy, feminine energy collaborates, it doesn't compete. And that's what has been happening with Fast Like a Girl, is we're seeing women supporting women lifting women up, and women finally finding their unique path with their health habits. And thank you so much for seeing that. So From the bottom of my heart, stay tuned. It's only getting better. We're going to master the fat burning system with the 3-day water fast. And then we're going to spend a lot of time this year talking about the sugar burner system and how do we really master both of these systems and learn to make metabolic switching effortless. I can't wait. I have so much more to share with you all. And I just wanted to come today and say thank you. It's your messages. It's just unreal. It's unreal. You've really touched me. So appreciate you all. And let's all fast together. I'll see you on January 8th with the first call. Have a great rest of your holiday.